Time for the Middle East report. We're joined by James Dorsey. James, good morning.
Good morning. Pleasure to be with you.
Thank you for joining us. The Middle East will never be the same after the attacks that have taken place.
Indeed. I think that basically what's happened over the last week, that is to say, the Hamas attack on Israel and the Israeli response that we're witnessing at the moment in Gaza is a paradigm shift in the Middle East. It demonstrates, one, that you cannot de-escalate relations without solving problems. Perennial conflicts cannot just be simply pushed aside. Moreover, what this does is it puts the Palestinian issue back on the center stage, and that's going to play out in multiple ways. I think the third factor here is it demonstrates the limits of China's geopolitical abilities in the Middle East. China's not a player in what is happening and doesn't have the kind of influence on either Israel, the Palestinians, or Hamas to try and get things to quiet down, something the United States can do if it wanted to. And clearly, to some degree, it may want to, but it's only doing so behind the scenes, being publicly very supportive of Israel at this moment.
Gaza braces for an Israeli ground invasion.
Indeed. Well, in the last few hours, as you probably have heard, the Israelis have ordered 1.1 million people to move from northern to southern Gaza. Virtually almost impossible, and certainly even more difficult given the current circumstances as a result of the Israeli bombings in Gaza itself. The issue here is, I think, severalfold. One, what is Israel, beyond wanting to take revenge and destroy Hamas, trying to do in Gaza? There are essentially three pathways if one assumes that a ground offensive is going to happen no matter what. One is that they come in from the south and then move north. That's probably less likely now that they've ordered everybody or a lot of people to move towards the south, which means that they're probably going to come in from the north. And one reason why they may want to two reasons why they may want to depopulate the north at this point is, one, that would help reduce civilian casualties, but potentially it would expose both Hamas positions and possibly where at least some of the hostages taken last Saturday are. The other question with the ground invasion is whether they first sort of send a limited number of troops in, test the grounds, or whether they just move in full strength.
Yes, that is what remains to be seen. So the Israeli deal involving the kingdom's recognition of Israel is on life support.
Right. So I don't think it's dead, but obviously I think it's on a slow burner. Maybe that's a better word than life support. Saudi Arabia, at least officially, had made some pathway towards a resolution of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict a precondition for establishing diplomatic relations with Israel. At this point, Saudi Arabia will not want to be seen to be discussing a recognition of Israel, even though that remains what Saudi Arabia wants. It also needs to be seen to be publicly supportive of the Palestinians, and that's another reason to slow down. A third reason is, of course, one of the things that we're seeing in the Middle East right now is that everything on the Palestinian and on the Israeli side is being dominated by what are a human being's worst emotions: fear, anger, despair, revenge. And so that means that at this point, if there were any hope for Israeli concessions on the Palestinians, right now is certainly not the time. And that's why I think the Israeli-Saudi deal is on a slow burner, but it's not dead.
For more commentary from James Dorsey, you can visit his website, www.jamesdorsey.net. James, thank you for your time. We appreciate your time this morning on Radio Islam.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Go well. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was James Dorsey for the weekly edition of the Middle East Report.